Okay, let's just dive right in with a wild idea. What if none of this is real? It's a question that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction, but it's something that physicists and philosophers are actually debating seriously. Today, we're going to explore the simulation hypothesis.
And this isn't just some late-night thought experiment anymore. I mean, scientists are truly wrestling with this. And here's the really unsettling part. There is literally no experiment we can run, no observation we can make that could ever prove it isn't true. Let that sink in.
So that leaves us with this huge, almost unanswerable question. Are we in what you might call base reality? Or is everything we know, everything we are, just part of some unbelievably complex computer program?
To even start to get your head around why this isn't just a fantasy, you've got to look for the clues. And weirdly enough, the first potential cracks in the fabric of reality, they might be hidden in the very laws that run our universe.
You know, our universe isn't just random chaos. It plays by a very strict set of rules. It runs on these precise mathematical laws. For example, you can't just keep dividing something into smaller and smaller pieces forever. Eventually, you hit rock bottom, the smallest possible unit of space, the shortest possible tick of the clock. And then there's the biggest rule of all, that ultimate speed limit, the speed of light. All these hard limits, they don't really feel natural, do they? They feel less like randomness and more like, well, like engineered constraints, almost as if somebody programmed them into the system to keep it from crashing.
And this is where it gets really strange. Think about how a video game works. To save processing power, games have limits, right? They have a render distance, so the computer doesn't have to draw the whole world at once. They have fixed frame rates. They have resolution limits. Now look at our universe. The speed of light acts like a render distance for information. Planck time is kind of like the universe's frame rate, and Planck length, that's its resolution. The parallels are just uncanny.
Which forces us to ask this really uncomfortable question. Why would a natural, base reality need a resolution limit? Why would it have a minimum pixel size? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, unless, of course, reality itself is being rendered.
So these physical clues start to build into a really compelling philosophical argument. Back in 2003, a philosopher named Nick Bostrom came up with a line of reasoning that is as simple as it is, frankly, terrifying.
He broke it down into 3 basic steps. First, just assume that any civilization that gets advanced enough will eventually be able to run super detailed simulations of their ancestors, people like us. Second, if they can do it, they probably will do it. And they won't just run one, they'll run thousands, maybe millions of them. And third, if that happens, the number of simulated minds would eventually just completely dwarf the number of real, original minds.
And the conclusion is just a statistical gut punch. If you accept those 3 simple ideas, then just based on pure probability, the odds are absolutely overwhelming that we are living inside one of the simulations, not in the one original reality.
Now, 20 years ago, this whole thing might have sounded completely bonkers. But today, with the crazy explosion of AI and virtual reality, it's starting to sound, well, almost inevitable.
I mean, just look at what we're already creating. We have AI that can learn on its own, that can generate entire virtual worlds. We're creating virtual humans, entire digital ecosystems. We are literally building the tools you would need to create one of these ancestor simulations. We are on step 1 of Bostrom's argument right now.
And if we're already on this path, assuming we don't, wipe ourselves out first, it's pretty reasonable to think that any civilization that's millions of years ahead of us has already perfected this.
But this all leads to an even more disturbing question. If the universe is teeming with all these simulated worlds, and maybe some real advanced civilizations too, then why is it so quiet out there? Why hasn't anybody said hello?
Yeah, if this is a simulation, where are the programmers? This cosmic silence is one of the biggest mysteries there is, and the potential answers are pretty unsettling. One idea is what's called the zoo hypothesis. In this scenario, we're basically animals in a cosmic nature preserve. The creators are watching us, studying how we develop, but they have a strict rule, no interference. We're just an experiment to be observed, not to be contacted.
Another, much darker theory is the dark forest. The idea here is that the universe is a really dangerous place, so announcing your existence is a huge risk because you have no idea who or what is listening. So every advanced civilization, real or not, just learns to stay perfectly silent to survive.
And then there's a third idea, maybe the creepiest one of all, that the simulation itself has rules built in to stop us from figuring it out. That speed of light? Maybe it's not just a law of physics. Maybe it's a firewall, a hard-coded limit designed to keep us trapped in our little fishbowl so we can never see the creators looking in. Okay, let's take this enormous, mind-bending question and bring it down to a human level. If any of this is actually true, what does it mean for us? For our lives? For the things we care about? Does any of it matter? This is the real existential crisis of the whole theory, right? If this is all just code running on some computer somewhere, do our lives, all our struggles, our triumphs, our joys, do they mean anything at all? The philosophical answer to that is a resounding yes, because a simulated experience is still a real experience to the one having it. The source of your reality doesn't automatically cancel out the validity of what you feel. When you feel pain, that pain is real to you. When you love someone, that love is real. The choices you make feel real, and they have real consequences within this reality, whatever it is. Mating doesn't just vanish because reality might have a few more layers than we thought. Our world is still our world.
So maybe the most important question isn't whether we're in a simulation. Maybe the real mystery is about the creators. What kind of civilization would have the power to spin up an entire universe filled with conscious, thinking beings, and then just walk away? Or just leave it running in the background?
And that leaves us with one last lingering thought. If this is all some kind of experiment, and if something or someone is watching all of this unfold, what's the point? What are they looking for? If reality is watching us, what do you think it's waiting for?